I got invited to play Minecraft Legends early. Today I'll be giving you a quick overview of the game and telling you absolutely everything that you need to know, like what it's about, how it plays, the surprising way that you will be playing, the parts that I really like, and some parts that aren't so great. This video won't contain any storyline spoilers past about 1 hour into the game. I did get an early preview code to play Minecraft Legends, but that does not mean that Mojang or Microsoft can tell me what to say. This is all original. I played the entire campaign, explored the PvP and co-op modes, and absolutely everything else that there is to offer. Minecraft Legends has a surprising amount of depth, so let's just hop into it. If you aren't familiar with Minecraft Legends, it's a third-person action strategy game with elements of real-time strategy, troop controlling, exploration, base building, and tower defense. I know, it sounds like a lot to take in, but once you've played it for about an hour, it all works together really, really well. It's a good experience, and there's a solid storyline too. The tutorial and early gameplay introduce each element of the game slowly so that you can understand how it all works together. The premise of the game is pretty simple. It starts out with the evil piglins invading the idyllic paradise world where hostile mobs and villagers live in peace. The spirit hosts then realize that they need help to stop the piglins and grab the player from a Java edition world to help fight the piglin invasion. You'll be defending village wells from invading piglins and destroying their nether portals, fighting hordes and hordes of mobs and the occasional boss too. So that's all the topical information about the game. Now some specific details that you should know before we get into the gameplay. Now, Minecraft Legends is going to be releasing on April 18th, just a couple of days from now, and it's going to be on basically every platform: PC, Xbox, PlayStation, Switch. Multiplayer is a huge part of Legends. You can play with or against friends or just in solo mode, and players on Switch, PS4, and Xbox One can play campaign mode with 2 players, and all other platforms can play with up to 4 players. The PvP mode is likely what you'll end up playing the most, as it's surprisingly fun, intense, great with friends, and it's just an absolute blast if you're all on voice chat. Now, of course, there is a store, and there are microtransactions for things like skins, mounts, and texture packs, and they're surprisingly expensive. This texture pack is like $15. I'm not buying that, not. They also use the standard tactic of making the marketplace button the only thing highlighted on the main menu to draw attention to it, of course. But from what I can tell, none of the DLC actually affects the game. It's just cosmetics, which is great. Now, there's seemingly going to be more DLC to the campaign and more stuff to play in the future as well. I imagine Legends will have a lot more content in the coming months, similar to how they treat Minecraft Dungeons. It's just going to be continuously updated with more things to play and more ways to play. So with that housekeeping out of the way, let's talk about the gameplay. So the main thing that you'll be doing in the campaign is fighting piglins, defending your villages, and raiding piglin bases. To help with all of those tasks, you can explore the random procedurally generated world, gather resources, and build some structures as well. There is a fair amount of gameplay elements that you'll need to master in order to get good at this game, but they're all introduced in an easy to learn way. So first up, there's the allays. Allays are your absolute best friend. They will gather resources for you and build structures for you automatically, removing a lot of the grind from normal vanilla Minecraft. When it comes to troops, there's a variety of different ones that you can get, but you'll start off with some basic cobble and plank golems, just your melee and ranged units, and you'll unlock more as you progress. The controls for troop movement can be a bit complicated at first, but they are surprisingly powerful, allowing you to select individual mob types. You can move your mobs in several different ways. You can have them follow you, target a creature or structure, and just straight up charge into a location. There's also a lot of depth to the building, so using your allays and the resources that you gather, you can build a ton of different stuff, from walls and defenses to mob spawners and upgrades. You're going to be doing quite a bit of building in this game, as it's a major gameplay element. One of the best things about the allays is that you can set them up to harvest or build something and then leave the area or go fast travel or whatever, and once they're done, they'll teleport back to you, so you don't need to babysit them. So this is an open world game, and the world in the campaign is actually fairly sizable. It's going to take you quite a while to explore this whole thing, and there is a lot to see. There's a ton of different really interesting biomes, and the map will show you the locations of all those biomes without even exploring the world, and what resources are in those biomes as well. You can also fast travel between the central hub at the middle of the map and all the different villages. Sometimes when you fast travel, it'll leave your troops behind, but you can recall them them using any spawner, and surprisingly, the fast travel doesn't have a loading screen. It just goes black for a second, and then you pop into existence, and it's great. One thing you might notice is that Legends actually uses like chunks similar to regular Minecraft, so you see the world loading in sometimes in this little grid, and it's kind of cool. Exploring the world is actually worth it. There's a lot of things to find, such as new mounts, loot chests, resources, first golems, and power towers. You'll especially want all 4 of the first golems, as they are ultra powerful mobs, all with unique abilities such as summoning more troops and creating a healing area. Once you have all 4 of them, you are just absolutely overpowered. For the most part, the open world is kind of barren. You'll see the occasional piglin or, passive mob that you can recruit to your army, but there's also some interactive features as well, such as spiky bushes, lava, and fire that'll all deal damage to you. There is fall damage, and it really hurts. There's also these like little plants that'll give you a speed boost to make traveling just so much easier, and in areas with rough terrain you can also find these little jump pads that give you a lot of jump boost. So it's not much, but these little details do make exploring the overworld quite a bit nicer. So Minecraft Legends has a lot of progression. As you play, you're going to unlock more and more abilities, structures, the ability to get more resources, and allies to help you in battle. There's a useful songbook, which is basically just the menu, shows you all the different information about what you have. You can also customize your hotbars to fit your style of play, and there are 4 different hotbars in this game, which is kind of a lot to get used to at first. You got one for all of your spawners to summon in your allies, one for collecting resources with the allays, one for building structures with your allays, and another one specifically for your village upgrades to give you more abilities. It seems like a mess, but it actually works out pretty well, and it doesn't take that much getting used to. They were able to make the day-night cycle actually important, so during the day, piglins will plot and plan to attack your villages, giving you quite a bit of time to gather resources and build defenses, and then at night they'll attack you and you can fend them off. There's an attack about once every hour or so you're not going to have to defend villages all the time. It's not annoying like Fallout 4, for example. And there's actually good reason to defend the villages, as they generate a fair amount of resources over time that you'll definitely want to take advantage of. Overall, the game is absolutely beautiful. The graphics, the ambience, and the music are all just absolutely top-notch. I usually turn off music in games, but not this one. It works really, really well. Everything from the god rays to the weather, the world layout and the foliage, cutscenes, and even the villager dialogue is just done very well. You can tell that they put a lot of time into this game, and it turned out great. Now, this is where I can start to criticize it a little bit. So the game is very short. The campaign is 10 to 11 hours long, even if you explore the entire world, collect all the things, and build all the things. And besides the piglin bases and bosses, there really isn't that much to do. The ending does tease some DLC having to do with Redacted and a Minecraft multiverse as well. Outside of the campaign, there's also a lot of PvP and Lost Legends content that I'll talk more about later. So the campaign isn't the entire game. There's quite a big focus on PvP and co-op modes. So if you have some friends to play with, or if you want to get this for your kids, it's honestly going to be a pretty fun time. Once you get a hang of the controls, I would suggest playing on a higher difficulty if you want more of a challenge and want the game to last a little bit longer. And once you get the first golems and understand how the game works, it's pretty much a breeze to just go through absolutely everything. Once I got to about the halfway point in the game, I didn't really need to worry about anything. It was pretty easy, to be fair. Co-op campaign and inviting players to games actually works really well and surprisingly smoothly. Now, co-op campaign for me was a little bit laggy. I joined IBX Toycat and he was hosting on an Xbox, so that might explain it. I'm also playing on a laptop right now, so maybe not the best connection, but basically the game just like slowed down a little bit. Everything moved a bit slower, but the frame rate stayed very high and consistent, so you might see a little bit of lag, or maybe you won't run into that issue. Either way, it's still playable and still really fun, and in co-op mode, you actually share resources and a mob cap, but you do have separate allays. so you can't bring your progression from one world to another. It's not like Terraria, it's more like vanilla Minecraft. The main thing I can criticize about the campaign is there's not really much for the player themselves to do. You don't have any powers, and the player can't be upgraded anyway. The only thing that you can do is change your character to a different mount, and you're really just moving around your troops. You're basically just a general. You can't deal damage to structures, and all piglins are way too strong for you to even bother attacking personally. Your job is to just crowd control the baby piglins and keep some of the piglins away from your troops as they're breaking structures. Overall, the only thing I can truly say is a letdown in Minecraft Legends is how short the campaign is. It was really fun, and I just wish it was a bit longer. They could have easily expanded it by just adding more piglin structures for you to raid, but that would have been a little bit redundant and kind of boring, and you don't want to overstay the welcome of that particular gameplay mechanic, so I understand why it's a bit shorter. Hopefully, future DLC will expand it and give us more stories to explore. Speaking of story, I can only tell you about the first hour or so of the game due to the embargo, but the story is basically what you would expect. It's a little bit slow at first as you get the hang of managing your troops and learning how to play, but the story really ups the stakes after you destroy the first couple of outposts by pulling a Truly Bedrock and shooting a freaking laser into the sun, making the entire overworld habitable by piglins. And that's where the fun really begins. After that, the whole map gets populated by 3 factions of piglin bases, and destroying each group of 3 will unlock a boss fight for that faction. Once you beat the game, there isn't really much to do besides build and gather some resources, so you'll have to start a new world and a new character if you want to replay the campaign. I will say it would be really nice if you could restart the story and keep your progression, just like a New Game Plus or something. Make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss my video on April 18th about the story of Minecraft Legends. PvP is really where this game shines. It is super fun to play against your friends, especially in large 4v4 battles. The concept is similar to the campaign. You have to protect your base by building and gathering resources. The map is slightly smaller than the campaign, and the 2 bases are separated by a good distance with 2 to 3 piglin bases between them. You're going to have to fight the piglins and destroy their structures to get lapis and prismarine in order to summon your own mobs and build upgrades. Now, luckily, the piglin bases regenerate, so you can just farm the stuff forever, but the longer the game goes on, the more advanced the piglins get. Eventually, they'll start shooting missiles at you. They're really mean. If you're not careful, they might just take you out entirely, and the other team can just sit back and relax. Now, PvP actually works great. It's really fun, it's chaotic, but once you get the hang of it, I think you're really going to enjoy it. The map spawns can be pretty lopsided though, so your spawn point might not be that great. The terrain, resource distribution, and distance to the piglin bases can all play a part in how the game goes. They have done some balancing between the campaign and the PvP mode though, so for instance, the cost of structures and mobs has been tweaked to make the game faster and easier to get to the end game basically. Everyone on a team shares resources and the mob count, so you're going to need to organize and communicate if you want to have a good chance at winning. There's another co-op mode called Lost Legends and Myths. So this is something that you can play soloed or with friends, and right now there is 2 different things. There's Lost Legends and there's Myths. I don't have access to any Myths, so I have no idea what that is. We'll find that out together someday. But right now, the only Lost Legend there is a Portal Pile. This is basically tower defense, and it's crazy. It is super intense. You need to defend your well against 20 waves of piglins, and the final wave spawns 400 mobs. It is absolutely crazy, and it took me an hour in solo mode to defeat it. I am really excited to see where they go with Lost Legends and Myths. They're going to be adding a new game mode seemingly every month, and there's probably going to be additional things that you can buy in the marketplace. So that's Minecraft 1.16, the game. It is a really good template. There's a lot of great things that they can do with Legends, and honestly, it's pretty good, and I'm looking forward to what else comes from it. If you enjoyed this video, then subscribe so that you don't miss any of my other Legends videos, and thank you for watching, and then there was silence.